We have plenty to talk about in tonight's video, including some trade talk around a handful of NHL teams, including the Red Wings, the Maple Leafs, the Senators, and the Oilers. Plus, we have more news from the NHL waiver wire and a ton of injury and roster move updates. We'll discuss that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to talk about in today's video. Before we get into the regular hockey news, I do need to take a moment and just talk about baseball for a minute. I know this is not a baseball channel. I don't know how many baseball fans are watching me on this content here, but I just got to take a minute. This is a really late video. Game 7 tonight, American League Championship Series. How about those Blue Jays going to the World Series, comeback win, George Springer, epic moment, the legend he is in the 7th inning when there wasn't a lot of hope. Just wow. That's one of the biggest moments in franchise history, right up there, if not even bigger than the Bautista bat flip homer 10 years ago, or back in, 2015. So, 10 years ago. And then we haven't had this much success as Blue Jays fans since I was a teenager. So, it's absolutely crazy. What an absolute epic Game 7. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. Game 7 can be epic, and this one fit the bill. Just so many big moments for this team, and I know it's captivated a lot of Canadians, a lot of people that I know that are, I don't even know if you'd call them casual baseball fans, jumping on the bandwagon here. I know there's not, I don't know if we can really say they're Canada's team. I know they're the only Canadian team, but Canada still has a lot of fans of other teams. I know there's a lot of people out west that do like the Mariners because Seattle's closer to them. I know there's a lot of Red Sox fans. I've got family that are Red Sox fans, but it's they've captivated the country, especially for the casuals or the non-fans before. It's helped get other people into baseball. Like even my own family, like my wife and daughter, never really gave two craps about baseball before this summer. So, they're growing the fan base for sure, and the younger generation. Not everybody's, I guess, I don't consider myself old in my early 40s, but a lot of people that have been fans of the team haven't gotten to see them get to this point. So, unfortunately for me, I did get to be a part as an old enough fan when they went back to back 92, 93 to remember that well in my early teens. So, big moment. Absolutely buzzing tonight. So, I'm a little bit hyper. Late video, but let's get into it. News from the NHL waiver wire here today. The Calgary Flames have another defenseman on waivers. Last time this happened, they lost the defenseman to a waiver claim. But Miromanov is on waivers. And I do wonder what the odds are. There's a lot of teams out there looking for D help. There's a lot of extra D that are possibly going to get moved here in the coming weeks and months, but that's going to be a big talking point later with the trade stuff. But Miromanov is on waivers for the Flames. We'll find out tomorrow afternoon if he clears and can be reassigned to the AHL, to the Wranglers, or if he'll indeed get picked up, like we saw with his teammate recently here. So we'll see. A bunch of updates on roster moves, injuries, all that kind of stuff. The Ottawa Senators today sent Arthur Kaliev back to the AHL, to the Belleville Senators. A little bit surprising. He only played a couple of games, but I didn't think he did that badly. They still have Ollie Lexell and Curtis McDermott, both who've been sitting out. So not like they absolutely need to have an extra forward up. By any means, they don't. Obviously, for the next game or two, they're content to likely between Lexell and McDermott to have them in the lineup. So we'll see what they do with that. And Kaliev goes back to continue working for his next opportunity. The Dallas Stars today placed defenseman Nils Lundqvist on injured reserve, so he's going to be missing some time. The Golden Knights confirmed that Captain Mark Stone is going to miss, I wouldn't call it a significant period of time, but it could be. I mean, it's going to be at least a few weeks with a wrist injury. So they're listing him as a week-to-week. I would say that typically leads to 2 to 3 weeks. So still not good, but I mean the team's obviously get some good depth at the forward position. So I would think that they'll be okay. They are used, unfortunately, to having Stone miss significant time. The Sabres forward Beck Malenstein is going to be out for a little bit due to personal reasons. We don't have a timeline or anything like that. Not expected to be too long, but it's just a personal situation keeping him away. The Oilers today activated defenseman Jake Wallman, so he'll be ready to make his season debut for the Edmonton Oilers. He will play in their next game against the Ottawa Senators coming up, which I believe is tomorrow. The Kraken are going to be without Jared McCann, another injury for Seattle. They've already been depleted a bit recently, so he's day-to-day with a lower body injury. The Winnipeg Jets did update the situation with Cole Perfetti. Apparently, Perfetti, I didn't realize he was going to be out that long, but he's considered ahead of schedule and is expected to return around middle of November. Adam Lowry, on the other hand, is either at or slightly ahead of schedule and is now targeting a late October return, so he may return before the end of the month. Dylan Sandberg's still not quite clear yet on exactly when he should be expected to be back. The Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Shane Gostisbehere is going to miss some time. Lower body injury. He's considered day-to-day. He did travel on the road trip, so not expected to be too long. The Canucks have recalled Nils Aman and Tom Willander. So we'll see if they get into some games here. The Lightning have demoted Connor Geekie to the American Hockey League, and they've recalled left defenseman Charles-Edouard Dastus. So I don't know if the Geekie demotion is more about him personally or more so about the fact that they needed to bring up a defenseman. Could be a bit of both. We'll see how Geekie goes down and plays in the minors, where he's been mostly in the NHL since he has been traded to Tampa back a little over a year ago. Ben Harper, longtime NHL defenseman, a little bit of a journeyman defenseman. His days in the NHL appear to be coming to a close, at least for the time being. I don't know if he'll ever make a return, but Ben Harper has signed over in the KHL to be playing now with the Shanghai Dragons. So we'll see if that might be the end of his road in the NHL. Only time will tell. Now, instead of 4 teams we want to look at when it comes to some potential trades, the Red Wings, according to Elliot Friedman, we've already heard in recent days that they have more than enough defensemen and then a couple of veteran guys who haven't been overly impressive, and Eric Gustafsson and Travis Hamonic were definitely available. But Friedman, on his latest podcast episode, also made it known that he believes Jonathan Berggren, as the forward position, will be also available and could be moved here soon as well. Now, the Red Wings have had a pretty good start to the season, so there's really no rush for them to rush out and make a move. They don't need to do that at all. So it's going to really boil down to when they find the right kind of move that makes sense for them. They're not going to make a move unless they feel it makes the team better, of course. So again, these are all players. Now, if things change for the Red Wings and their fate takes a turn for the worse and they have a losing streak, or anything changes standings positionally here, we might see a different approach. But all of those guys, I think, could be made available. But while they're winning, while they're in a good spot, they're not going to feel pressured to do that. In Toronto, Elliot Friedman also goes on to say that there is some within the organization, within the Leafs, that feel the need to kind of solve the Nick Robertson situation, that many people in the organization recognize it's time, and it's, they got to get something figured out and get a move made for him. Now, of course, depending on injuries and whether else we've seen with the Leafs, I know there's been some inconsistent play here as of late, some in and out of the lineup, some changes. But Robertson is a player that hasn't really demanded it or anything, but really for going on 2 years has kind of, made it known that he would welcome a change of scenery. I think he'd like to go to a place where he can be a little bit more consistent of a role and kind of see where his career can take him. He's been linked at times to some of the teams in California. Of course, he's got family connection to California, so, I don't think he'd be opposed to going there. I really don't think he'd be opposed to going anywhere if he feels he's going to get a chance to be a regular player in a consistent spot in the lineup. That's really the big thing for Nick Robertson. But according to Elliot, there is, I guess, a little bit more people internally now. Feels like it's time to get something done. But we've been hearing about this for so long that it really makes you wonder, is the Nick Robertson trade ever going to really come? It's really difficult to say. Edmonton, again, another team to watch. Edmonton is a team, according to Elliott, that, like Detroit and some other teams, have way more than enough NHL defensemen. Now, of course, some of them, though, have struggled, which is why they're not playing a lot or why they're in the minors. Obviously, like Josh Brown comes to mind. don't know that he's a real quality NHL defenseman, but they have 8-9 defensemen between what's in the NHL and what's in the AHL with NHL experience. As this team gets healthy, they're getting Wallman back. As Regular comes back, then they have to make cap moves as well to make room for Hyman when he's ready to come back. So, whether it be Brown or Stature or some of these other guys, there's lots of options for some of these defensemen that very well could be moved. So we will see what the Edmonton Oilers do. But, the Oilers have been in a little bit of a funk lately. So, again, I'll have to see kind of what happens with them. I don't know that they feel super pressured right now. But I know that they're definitely going to be another team to watch when it comes to adding another scoring forward, if they can figure that out. Now, the Oilers have a pretty tough cap situation, so getting a player added to the roster at a decent cap hit will be quite tricky to figure out for sure. And also some chatter around Ottawa. Now, we've heard a couple of insiders, whether it be Chris Johnson or Darren Dreger, both say that they believe that Steve Staios, the GM of the Senators, will likely try to make a big swing again this year, kind of referencing the fact that we saw him make a big swing at the deadline with the Dylan Cousins trade with the Buffalo Sabres for Josh Norris, and that maybe another trade of similar proportions might be coming soon again for the Ottawa Senators. We know they had a sluggish start to the season, 2-4 start, not exactly how they envision things, I'm sure, starting, but at the same time, it's early, lots of time to correct things, and really, they didn't have a great start last year, and they get into the playoffs, had a good run. So, they definitely, I think their first and foremost frontline need is a top 6 forward. That may not come until later in the year, though. That's going to be harder to pull off, and it's going to be more costly. They may not even be able to pull it off, but ideally, as a wish list, that is definitely something that's there. I know we've heard some insiders kind of reference the fact that that's probably their primary objective, is to add another scoring forward. But then I do wonder about the blue line as well, with Nick Jensen's mobility definitely being an issue. Like, he came back quick from that hip surgery. You have to admire his effort. He's grinding through it. But he's playing the least now out of all 6 defensemen, even though he's supposed to be a consistent top 4 guy, paired with Thomas Chabot. So, it's just the effort's there. It just that took more out of him than a lot of people were hoping, himself probably included. So there's a huge difference in his ability to get around the ice, and I just wonder at what point they're going to consider having some insurance. Jordan Spence's role with the team is growing and growing, but then we saw the situation where he ended up getting caught against Anders Lee, the Islanders giving up the winning goal, basically being outmuscled in the final moments of the game versus the Islanders the other day. Doesn't seem like the team's overreacted, but you got to wonder, is that going to impact his trust factor with the coaching staff? So after Artem Zub, it gets a little dicey, and I really believe Spence can play a good role for the team, and I think he'll get there and be more consistent, because really, for the most part, he's been really good. It's one bad moment on the season, and I'm sure that's going to motivate him to be better, but at the same time, it's hard to really say, I'm going to be better there, because, we're talking about probably, a 30-pound weight difference and several inches in height between he and Lee. Lee's a big man. So that's tough to make up, but you got to be stronger on your stick, and you got to be stronger positionally so that the size factor is less of an issue. And generally, he's pretty slippery back there, getting through guys and getting up the ice and contributing offensively, and he can get back to that. But the other big thing, the possibility that they could add on a blue line. I don't know that they're going to be able to get through the year with what they have with the 6D that they have as regulars right now. But the other factor that some fans were talking about, to me, made sense, is you got to wonder about maybe a goalie trade. Obviously, they lost confidence in Muriel quickly this year. He goes down to the minors, doesn't need waivers, thankfully, so he's got time to work on his craft. It's not like it's, a lost player that's going to be gone forever. You get Sogard up, who's been, not the most consistent the last couple of years. Gives him a chance to see, can he find it and grab that spot? But you got to wonder if the back of their minds, they might be looking for maybe a goalie trade to really solidify and give somebody that can maybe challenge Linus Ullmark a little bit more, because obviously Linus hasn't been a quality Linus so far this year, at least not consistently. He's to me, out of the 5 games he's played, there's probably 2 games where he was pretty good and 3 games where he wasn't. And when it seems like it's really bad or really good, like there's not a lot of in between sometimes. And, lovable character and all, but I think the fan base is looking for a little more consistency and reasons to be confident between the pipes. So could a goalie trade be on the horizon? Could they even look back to the Sabres for Devin Levi buried in the minors? I seen it brought up. This is not connected to, by the way, just so we're clear, this is not a rumor from an insider. Jeff Merrick brought up the other day, he didn't link him to the Senators, but that just in the last day or two, that he feels like Devin Levi might be available. He thinks there's something to that relationship between Levi and the Sabres, that he could be on the move soon. And if that's the case, I wonder if they could maybe consider an opportunity there. Now, is Levi an upgrade on Miromanov or Auger? And still, he's a guy with a great history at other levels, but yet still unproven at the NHL level. Does that really make sense? But I guess it depends on what the asking price is. If they gave one of their young goalies back, let's say they offer Sogard and a draft pick, or Sogard and another something else, or I'm not sure what it would take. But it's an interesting concept. Again, though, is Kevin Adams going to be making any trades, or is he going to be kind of told to hold off here until they kind of have a better feel for the long term on this team right now? They won a couple of games and they lost against Montreal. It's not like the season suddenly lost again, but they want to see if this team can be consistent or not, probably before they pull the trigger on much. So we will see. But again, wouldn't be shocked if all the things we've heard about the Senators and a big move, could it actually involve maybe a backup goaltender as well? Because I think that's suddenly become a concern for this team, and it does make sense as well. So let me know your thoughts on all of today's news and rumors in the comments. If you're a baseball fan, let me know what you think of the Jays, and don't mind talking about that either. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.